It's Amelia bringing you another Microsoft PowerPoint video. This video is all about pictures, images, and symbols in PowerPoint. Let's get started. So when inserting pictures, you have a couple choices. You can insert a photographic image or an illustrative image, and you have a couple choices of where to locate your image. So if you're using PowerPoint 2013 or higher, there's a new feature here in the Insert tab, and it's Insert Online Pictures. So Insert Online Pictures allows you to search for pictures via Bing or OneDrive. So what you want to be careful of is when you decide on a picture, if you search for it on the web, you want to make sure that you follow the copyright rules and regulations. So there's various websites which allow you to download pictures for free, which follow the Creative Commons license. Now, when you search for something via Bing here, I'll just type a search word in and press enter. It's going to give you a series of pictures that match with your search criteria. And notice down here it says these results are tagged with Creative Commons license. Review the licenses to ensure you comply. So you always want to make sure that the image or images that you're using are either free to use via the Creative Commons license, or if they have if they're copyrighted photos, then you have to determine if there's a website that offers them that you can purchase them. An example of a website that I use that follows the Creative Commons license is pixabay.com, which provides images free of charge that you could use for commercial purposes and no attribution is required. For a larger variety of pictures and images, websites such as iStockPhoto, thinkstock.com, and gettyimages.com offer subscription services, or they charge sometimes by the image. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out here because I'm going to show you how to insert a picture that you already downloaded and saved on your local drive. Once you have your pictures ready, what you want to do is go to a slide where you want to insert your picture. Now, if you already have a slide that has a placeholder for the picture or an existing picture, then it's a matter of clicking on that placeholder or replacing the existing picture. Let me go to a slide that has a placeholder. This particular layout is from a template and it already has a placeholder for a picture. So all you'd need to do is click on this little icon here and the Insert Picture dialog box appears. Now I am going to cancel this just to show you a couple variations of how to get here. But as you can see, I've already navigated to a folder that contains some images that I have downloaded from Pixabay. So I'm just going to cancel out of here for a moment and show you, and flip over to a presentation that has a blank series of blank slides. So I have a blank slide, and it could also be a slide that already has content on it that you're adding a picture on, and you want to select Insert Pictures and then navigate to the picture, and then to insert it on your slide you could either single click on the image and then select Insert, or you can just double click on the image and then it will be inserted in your presentation. So now that you have an image inserted, let's look at the different things you can do with the image. So for example, you could move the image. All you have to do is single click and select the image. When you have your four-headed arrow, just press and drag, and you could move that anywhere on your slide. You could also resize the image using the handles. I recommend always using the corner handles, and as a rule of thumb, I like to hold the Shift key down to make sure that you keep the aspect ratio in point, and make sure that you do not use the side middle handles. If you do, then your image will be misshaped and you will lose the aspect ratio. And if that happens, just click Control Z to undo and return back to the normal image. You can also format the image by double clicking, which opens up the Format tab, and in the Format tab you can do various things. Now for Remove Background, that would be handy if there's an image that has a background. This particular image has a transparent background. Let's take a look at an image that does not have a transparent background. I'm going to insert a new slide and insert an image that has a background like this. Now let's say that you wanted to remove the background. Now you can do this with a lot of image editors, but there is a little trick in PowerPoint that if you wanted to remove the background and make it transparent, there's this remove background feature up here in the format tab. So what happens is it makes an educated guess, and anything in purple will disappear if you keep the changes. But let's say you want to expand it a little bit. Now I know I said not to use the side handles, but this is a different case here that you would be able to use the side handles because you're not resizing the image. And when I move that outward, then it will continue to make an educated guess as to the background that you'd like to remove. Now notice that over here there's still some of the table in here, and you can continue to experiment and enlarge that, and maybe you just want to remove the top blue background. In that case, you click keep changes, and as you can see, it's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job of removing the background. You can also make a lot of other changes using the format tab. There's corrections, which will allow you to pick a variety of different brightness and contrast, and there's some other picture correction options if you use the pane on the right, and you can adjust the brightness and contrast here. Also, there's color saturation tone and recolor options in here that will allow you to change the actual color of the whole image or change to a different saturation, etc. So you can experiment with those as well. You can also apply artistic effects. So for example, try this black and white effect, and that gives it sort of like a old-fashioned rustic black and white look. So if you don't like it, you can just press Ctrl-Z and remove that, but there's a lot of other options in there. And the compressed pictures might come in handy if you have inserted pictures that were quite large in size, which would possibly increase your whole PowerPoint file size quite a bit. So you can use the compress feature to reduce the file size. However, you have to be careful because then you may also lose the quality and resolution of the photo as well. The change picture is just allowing you to click from a file or online source, and then you can just change the picture as needed. So if I just picked a different picture, then it would swap out the picture. And then a reset picture would be if you applied some formatting changes and you wanted to return back to the original image. Also here in the picture styles, there's all kinds of borders that you could apply, and you can just mouse over. I'm in PowerPoint 2016. Older versions, you may have to click on the border first before you see the result. You could also make changes to the border and take a look at the picture effects and picture layout, and there's a lot more options in here that you can choose from. And you can also pick alt text if you need to have the alt text pane display, and you would type in your alt text if you're entering this image for an online like website, for example, for the alt text to show. And I'll just close that. Now this bring forward and send backward is dim because there's only one image on this slide, but if there were more than one image, then you could change if the picture is in the foreground or the background. The selection pane is extremely helpful if you have more than one image on a slide. You're going to see a series of pictures here, and then you can use this little eye to hide it or show it, and this way you can move it out of the way if you have other pictures on your slide. Okay, we also have align, which allows you to align, you know, left, center, right, top, middle, which comes in really handy if, again, if you have multiple images on the slide and maybe you want to position something, you know, in the top, or maybe distribute vertically. And group would be also something I'm going to show you a little later. That's to group multiple images together into one grouping so that you can easily move or manipulate that group of images at once. Rotate, you can also rotate. You're going to see this curved arrow, and that would allow you to rotate it. You can also rotate it with this pull down and through one of these options in here. You can also crop the image. Just click on this top image here. I can just place my cursor on the black little edges here and then crop the image and then make it a little smaller. And then once I'm finished, I can just click outside the image. And finally, on the far right, you can specify a height and width if you'd like to manually resize it. And there's also some additional size and position options if you click on this little diagonal arrow here on the bottom right. Now, again, in early versions of PowerPoint, you're going to get a dialog box instead, but the options are primarily the same. So this gives you some additional options, including the lock aspect ratio, which is already set turned on. If it's not turned on, then you will notice that if you do not hold the shift key, then it will not keep the aspect ratio for you. So just make sure that you have that checked at all times, or use the shift key to keep the aspect ratio. Okay, in this next example, I'll discuss inserting background images. So there are several ways to consider formatting the background of one or more slides. To access Format Background from the Design tab in the ribbon, over here you click Format Background. Now once you select Format Background, you're going to see a pane on the right or a dialog box in earlier versions of PowerPoint. So you have several options. You can have a solid background, you can have a gradient fill, or you can have a picture, which we're going to do in a moment. You can also have pattern, etc. So first, let me just show you if we have a solid fill background. Let me just go ahead and pick a blue color here. This is what it would look like if you just went with a solid colored background. But let's say we wanted to insert a picture in the background. Let me go ahead and Control Z and undo that. In this case, we would select this radio button for picture or texture fill, but we're not going to keep this texture in the background. I'm going to select File and then navigate to the folder where I have a background image, which is this right here that I want to use, and I'm going to go ahead and click Insert. And now I have a nice background to use with my image, and if necessary I could go ahead and move my image around if I needed to. For this next example, I'm going to insert a picture and then move it to the background. But first, let me show you if you wanted to remove the image that you have set for the background, you can just click solid fill. It'll go back to white. But so in this example, I'm going to click Insert, Pictures, and I'm going to select this particular background that looks like a stage. Now, I know I told you not to use the side handles, but in this case, for this particular image, it will work. And it will not appear kind of stretched out. This particular image still looks fine, even though I stretched it out. Now, where did the little guy go? Well, he's actually still there, but he's in the background now because when you insert an image, it automatically is inserted in the foreground. So I want to push this particular image backwards, and I can do that several ways. I can right-click, and I could send to back. I can also use this drop down up in here and send to back, but I'll go ahead and select that. And here's our little guy now. Now, another way to insert a background image is to insert the image in the Slide Master. This option is best if you're using the same background image for several slides or throughout your whole presentation. We're going to click View, Slide Master. Now from the Slide Master tab, if you want to add a background image for all slides, you want to make sure that you scroll up and click on that very top image, and that will ensure that the image will automatically be applied to all slides. Next, on the Slide Master tab, in the background group, you want to select Background Styles and then Format Background. And I already have the Format Background pane open on the right, but if it was not open, it would have opened on the right. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and select Picture, and from File, and we'll go ahead and select this particular image and click Insert. And as you can see, it instantly applied that image to all slides. Now, if you did have to change the image, when you go back to your slideshow, I'll just close this and return back. You would not be able to alter the background unless you went back into your Slide Master. And next, I'd like to show you how to combine text and graphics and overlay text on top of your image. And it's easy. All you have to do is click Insert, Text Box. So I want to add some text right here, and I'm going to type in the word agenda. And I want to just format that and make it a little larger, maybe 36. So I'm going to go ahead and insert an additional text box and insert it down in here, and maybe just have it look like there's some additional information here like this. And so on and so forth. Now I want to rotate that ever so slightly because it doesn't look like it matches with the direction of the flipboard. So I'm going to take hold of my curved arrow here and just rotate that just slightly. Okay, and then next what I'd like to do is talk about how to group images. Now, let's say I decided that I wanted to move the our character here along with the flip chart, along with the text boxes here, and I want to be able to move them all at the same time. So you want to be able to easily move them by grouping them. So what I want to do is I can select all my images at once if I hit Control A, which is select all. Notice that I have handles along all my images, and now all I have to do is right click on any edge of any of the selected images and select group. When I do, everything is selected, and now I could easily move all my images at once, up, down, or anywhere on my slide. And I can also, if I decided to resize, I can just resize as well, or outward to enlarge. Finally, I wanted to mention a quick tip about inserting symbols and icons that have little hidden pictures inside. So if you need a quick symbol or icon or even a little picture in a snap, there are hundreds of little symbols and icons available in the Symbols option in the Insert tab in a particular font groups called Webdings and Wingdings. Let me show you what I mean. So I have a slide that has a text placeholder, and the thing about symbols is they're not images, they're considered characters, so you would have to insert them just like you would characters. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a text placeholder, and then from the Insert tab I'm going to select Symbol, and then I have Wingdings selected. There's also one called Webdings that has a lot of little pictures inside. So for example, if you wanted a little picture of a spider, just make sure when you click on it that you click Insert after that. And let me just pick a couple other pictures. Here's a little building here, and let me just go ahead and find one other one. Here's a picture of an eye. So now that I've inserted them, I'm going to close the symbol dialog box, and you could see that there's little pictures inserted. And to make them, to increase the size, you can't select the you can't select them like an image and then enlarge them this way because they're considered characters. So if you did want to enlarge the size, what you can do is select them just like you would text, and then right click and select a larger font size. You can also change the colors and add bold and italics and underline just like you would for text. So for example, if I wanted to change the color of this spider, I can just select the spider symbol and then change that to a different color. So let's just say I just change it to purple. And then it doesn't end there. Either by clicking in the Format tab, or by right-clicking, you can access the text effects. It's up in here in the Format tab, or I can select Format Text Effects here in the right click menu. Now when I do, I get a series of additional options like shadow, reflection, glow, etc. So you could apply all these different text effects. I have another slide where I already have some prepared for you to look at. This is a picture of the earth, and I've changed it to navy blue. This is the picture of the eye, and I changed it to green. And if you select the eye and then italicize it, it appears to be slanted. This picture of the palm tree has the glow effect applied, and this picture here of the fork, dish, and spoon are just changed to red. And finally, this yin-yang symbol has been changed to blue, and I've applied the reflection text effect to it. So as you can see, the symbols can come in really handy, and they have a large amount of pictures to choose from. Well, that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment below. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.